These 5 years of doing Sam Electra licking dogs. I cooked for him, cooked soup, covered up early love and shagong. I have bought medicine, washed clothes, worked as a nanny and driver. The wind comes and the rain goes, and no one is more dedicated than me. Just like now, the cold wind howls on the circuit in the early hours of the morning. I was dressed in a thin white dress, and my face was long gone, but he was still quietly waiting by the side. The roar of the ear explosion was getting closer. The cool, high-profile black race car came to a halt in front of me. Behind him, other cars appeared. Sam Electra took off his helmet and gave me a cold look, then pulled out a beautiful racing beauty. When he looked at her, his eyebrows were lowered and his side face was soft. It stung my eyes. My eyes were red, and I smiled and walked up to greet him. When you open the thermos pot in your hand, the heat of the chicken soup rises. Sam Electra, I brought you soup. Drink a little, don't catch a cold. The woman holding his hand laughed out loud, her eyes full of ridicule. Sam Electra, you're too old-fashioned as a suitor, aren't you? It's chicken soup again. I'm tired of drinking it if she can't get tired of it. Can you change some tricks? He wrapped his arms around her waist, and looked at me with a smirk. Yvette Burns, didn't you tell me not to come? I was so humiliated that I lowered my head, and bit my lower lip. Aunt is worried about you. Let me take you back. Sam Electra's eyes flashed with boredom and his tone was impatient. I'm not going back tonight. You can go, and don't give these next time. Kara doesn't like to drink them. The woman named Kara tossed the helmet from her hand. The corners of the mouth raised the arc of the victor. Little sister, bye-bye. At this point, Sam Electra's brothers followed. After witnessing this scene, the eyes that looked at me were complicated and sympathetic. Tears slipped down in an instant. I turned away in embarrassment, my thin, trembling body almost blown away by the wind. Sam Electra looked at my back, and involuntarily took a step forward. Was dragged away by Kara. Let's go, we're going to drink. Fox friends and dog friends will huddle them in the middle. You say a word to me, Sam Electra. You're so hard-hearted. You're not afraid she'll be disappointed and leave. He chuckled nonchalantly. I wish she hadn't bothered me. The crowd burst into laughter. Alas, her star-studded daughter doesn't do it. She has to be a licking dog. I don't know what it's for. No one saw it, and as soon as I turned around, I restrained my sad expression. There was only a businesslike indifference on his face. That's to the point. An eldest lady. Why do you have to make him a licking dog? Of course, it's because I'm an imposter. In fact, before the age of 17, I was the proud daughter of the stars and the moon. Until my mom became pregnant with my brother. I overheard a conversation between my parents. Our family has raised her for so many years, and she has to repay us. My mom sighed with red eyes. If only then. The unclear conversation made me wake. I remembered that a classmate once joked with me, "You're nothing like your parents." I secretly did a paternity test. It's over. It's really not biological. They didn't tell me the truth, and I pretended not to, but I could feel the love and resources they poured into me little by little. Even if I had an argument with Sam Electra, my dad would force me to apologize. I couldn't believe it, and asked why. It was obviously his fault. My dad slapped me for the first time, and said in a cold tone, "Sam Electra and I are the doll relatives designated by my grandfather. In the future, he will also be my marriage partner, and I must have a good relationship with him. The Burns family has given me a good life, and I am not qualified to be willful. I've been sure since then. They adopted me so that I could marry in place of their own daughter, who had died young. At the beginning, my mother was injured, and the doctor said that it would be difficult to conceive in the future. This younger brother was a surprise and also pronounced the fate of my chess piece. Mom and Dad are going to use me to pave the way for my brother and the Burns family. Then I'll have to think about it for myself." On the surface, I was visibly enthusiastic about Sam Electra. Behind the scenes, quietly transfer assets to find other ways to retreat for yourself. As it turned out, I made the right decision. What men don't get is the best. When I ignored Sam Electra, he used all sorts of ways to get my attention. When I started responding to him, he felt superior. Pinning your hopes on a man is tantamount to asking for your own death. Hoping for a dozen men is different. I've been chasing Sam Electra all these years. Privately, He secretly contacted his brother, assessed their future potential and that of the family behind them. Several men had already started digging into the wall, and only Sam Electra, an idiot, was sluggish. After walking out of the racetrack, Weshut instantly added a few more comforts and greetings from his good brother. I replied with a blank face, while preparing to throw the thermos pot in his hand into the trash. The next moment, a bony hand reached out from behind and took the thermos pot away. I looked back in amazement, only to see someone I didn't expect, Adair Electra. He took off his dark gray coat and draped it over my shoulders with natural movements. When the warmth came, I was a little stunned, and the clear voice pulled me back to my senses. It's almost late autumn, and you're wearing too little. Thank you, you're welcome. A cold wind blew, and I subconsciously wrapped my coat tightly and looked up at him. Adair Electra's eyebrows and eyes are 5 points similar to Sam Electra's, but the temperament is completely different. An unruly, a Kowloon flower. To be honest, I appreciate the calm and cool type of Adair Electra more. On top of that, he's the most promising of the potential stocks I've come across. Because the Electra family is the leading group with the largest momentum in Jiangcheng. The current general manager is Sam Electra's father. That's why my dad attaches so much importance to this doll. It stands to reason that Sam Electra will be the next heir. But he didn't learn anything. He didn't obey discipline. And he made his grandfather so angry that he smashed the cup several times. Adair Electra, on the other hand, has revitalized a foreign subsidiary that has been losing money for years in just 2 years. The situation is not clear, but Grandpa should also think about it for the sake of the family. Thinking of this, I looked at him with a little more relief. Adair Electra's face was strange for a moment. Shall I send you home? My eyebrows twitched slightly. It was a good time to test. So he pretended to be wronged, and whispered, I don't want to go home just yet. He looked at me quietly for 2 seconds, his tone sparse. Then go to my house first. I whistled inwardly. Oh God, brother. The temperature in the car was 26 degrees that I liked. I adjusted the seat back to a comfortable angle. The car sounded the song I had posted to my friends a few days ago. I looked up at him in surprise. The dim lights of the car softened his eyebrows. His eyes met, and he curled his lips slightly. Sounds good. My heart jumped, and I suddenly remembered that night 3 years ago. That's because I haven't been able to control my emotions yet. After getting angry with Sam Electra again, holding back the fire in his belly, he ran to the bar to borrow a drink to kill his sorrows. It was Adair Electra who found me. Actually, I don't have much friendship with him. He's a year older than us, and at most he's shouting out to Sam Electra. However, he seemed to be a little detached from me, and I didn't bother to put a hot face on my cold ass. He asked me, do you like Sam Electra that much? I didn't think much about the meaning of this sentence, but shouted at him angrily, like Sam Electra. The dog wants to pee on him when he hears it. He was silent for 2 seconds. Then why are you looking for him? I don't vomit. Who made him the heir to the Electra family? If you have the ability to squeeze him down, then I'll look for you too. I don't know how that night, I just couldn't suppress the anger in my heart. I wanted to say something, but he covered his mouth and hugged him horizontally. The next day, I was trembling, for fear that he would sue in front of his grandfather. Quietly observe his face, when preparing the wording of the apology. He looked at me steadily, and suddenly smiled. Yvette Burns, do what you say. Later he went abroad. But it is like a dark horse that has broken out of the encirclement. It has become the object of various families in Jiangcheng, who are vying to bet on it. I haven't interacted with him much in recent years. At most, a holiday greeting. But combined with what he said 3 years ago and what he does today, I can probably guess it. Maybe he, like me. I couldn't help but curl the corners of my lips. Yvette Burns, were born wealthy. Adair Electra took me to a large flat floor. The decoration is a simple and light luxury style in gray and white, which is very suitable for my taste. Naturally, he took out the chicken soup from the thermos pot and put it in front of me. Drink some, it's still hot. My eyebrows skipped and I tried to stop him. Don't drink it, it's something that no one else wants. He took the bowl and drank it all, without frowning. It's delicious. He doesn't want it. It's because he doesn't taste it. I looked away a little weakly. Or don't tell him that it's a pot of water. Ahem. Where do I sleep tonight? He pointed me in a spot. I walked in and was caught by a diamond-encrusted hairpin on the bedside table. Isn't this the hairpin that fell off in my high school gym class? I pulled out the drawer below with a delicate feeling, and the corners of my mouth twitched. Sure enough, it was a brown notebook that resembled a diary. I guess it's probably a secret of having had a crush on me for years. I rolled my eyes shallowly. If I hadn't put it here on purpose, I'd have eaten it. When I opened it, every page was plastered with my photo. It's a collection of friends that I've posted for so many years. A line of words was written in a pen below, in French, and I couldn't read it. I was just about to scan the translation when there was a knock on the guest room door. Toiletries for you to put in the bathroom. I jerked my head back, and the hairpin fell to the ground inadvertently. Adair Electra saw the notebook I was holding. 3 points of panic, 3 points of helplessness, and 4 points of stiffness in the eyes. Good acting. Not to be outdone, I secretly pinched my thigh, and my eyes instantly turned red. Adair Electra, so early you too. He walked over in silence. I'm sorry, I didn't want to embarrass you. I shook my head with tears in my eyes. I've been following others for so many years, but I didn't expect. You don't need to say everything, and the person who listens will naturally make up for it. Adair Electra raised his eyes, and my dark brown eyes reflected me. Restraint and sincerity. Yvette Burns. I've been there. My eyelids jumped. Big brother is too fast. It's not too late for Grandpa to officially announce you as the heir. I lowered my eyes. Adair Electra, can you give me some time? Adair Electra's expression was gentle, and he casually revealed, next week, Grandpa will let me join the group as a vice president. I almost laughed, but I still looked worried. Then I'm with Sam Electra's doll. I'll let Grandpa lift it. I was impressed. I've thought about it. Let's be together. So the couple with 800 hearts and eyes was officially released. After the relationship was confirmed, I was in a good mood, because he knew my likes and habits very well. He prepared a whole set of big-name skincare and cosmetics for me that I used regularly. Before I could speak, someone sent me more than a dozen sets of clothes that matched my aesthetics. To my surprise, he also knew that I had to drink an iced Americano in the morning. My taboos and preferences are even more appropriate. I became more and more satisfied with him. Sure enough, people are contrasted. If only Sam Electra could have been so decently thoughtful. It's not that I can't recognize this doll and marry him. After all, I don't care if my husband loves me or not. All I care about is whether I can live well materially. Whoever made me use everything since I was a child is a big brand. Even a pair of socks is hundreds of dollars. When I knew the truth about my life, I ran away from home for a while to test my parents' attitude towards me. As a result, they just stopped my card and I was honest. It's not just hard for me to make a living, it's hell. I can't live a life of poverty, so I'm not going to work against the Burns. He was even willing to put aside his pride to curry favor with Sam Electra for 5 full years. Oh no, I don't have pride anymore. Here we are. Adair Electra dropped me off at the door of Burns' house. He wanted to get out of the car and help me open the car, but I stopped the door in time. I pondered and said, otherwise, let's keep it a secret. I'll talk about it when it's stable for a while. He should be able to understand the implications. Now is not a good time to change the status quo. He nodded. I understand. But he lowered his eyes, revealing a lonely look. What kind of trouble? I curled the corners of my mouth. Okay, for his sake, I'll give him a reward. I cupped his face and kissed him softly on the corner of his lips. His eyelashes trembled slightly, and his eyes darkened instantly. In the next second, Adair Electra counter-attacked, holding the back of my neck deepened the kiss. That's when the car window is knocked. It's Sam Electra's voice. Brother. I shook and bit his lower lip, a bright red. Adair Electra didn't move. His deep gaze seemed to be filled with an oppressive storm. I slowly wiped him down, signaled him with his eyes not to talk nonsense, and then got out of the car. Sam Electra's expression was a little surprised when he saw me, and his eyebrows frowned slightly. Yvette Burns, why are you in my brother's car? With sadness between my brows, I pursed my lips and walked past him, without saying a word. Sam Electra's eyes sparkled, but he didn't say anything. He opened the door of the Adair Electra. Brother, didn't you just return to China? Why are you with Yvette Burns? Adair Electra said lightly, I went to the bar to meet a few friends, and when I saw her drinking, I sent her back. After 2 seconds of silence, Sam Electra sighed. Izumi, is it so sad that you go to get drunk for such a trivial matter? Anyway, thank you, brother. Adair Electra seemed to chuckle. Thank me for what? After all, Yvette Burns went drinking because of me, and I can't explain what happened to him. Hey, you're pretty self-conscious. It was meant to be. Hearing this, I rolled my eyes and quickened my pace. As soon as I entered the door, I was greeted with my mother's questioning. Didn't you go to Sam Electra? Where did you go if you didn't come back all night? I hid the sarcasm in my eyes, and my face showed the usual grievance and indignation. I can't get mad at him for letting his girlfriend laugh at me. My mother's face changed slightly, but she quickly adjusted and softened her tone. Yvette Burns, Sam Electra still cares about you, otherwise he wouldn't have come to look for you early in the morning, and he would have panicked when he didn't see you. She pulled me to sit down and earnestly admonished. Don't worry, boy, I'm just curious about new things, and I'll pay attention when I get married. Your dad said it's time to discuss your marriage contract for a while. Even if it's for the Burns family, you have to capture his heart, and you must not lose your temper with Sam Electra at this juncture. I sneered in my heart. Isn't that what I'm worth? I pretended to sigh. If it weren't for our family, I wouldn't have put up with him. My mom was finally smiling. This is your father's good daughter. My eyes sparkled, and I grabbed my mother's arm and coquettishly. Mom, it's expensive to chase Sam Electra, and I have to buy his brother, so I ran out of money at the beginning of the month. My mom didn't blink. I'll give it to you again if it's gone. Don't let others look down on our Burns family. Also, Sam Electra is a girl who likes to play racing now. Why don't you give me more and I'll learn it? My mom willingly gave me 5 million again, using Sam Electra as an excuse. Tried and tested. In a way, he is also my god of wealth. I should be filial to a little. When I got back to my room, I saw a message from Sam Electra at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're not home. Where did you go? I didn't reply, thinking that I wouldn't have to be false with him in the future, and I was in a good mood, humming a song and taking a shower again. I carefully took care of my skin and rubbed my body lotion, so that I could make up for my sleep with peace of mind. Adair Electra was very well taken care of, but I had some recognition of the bed. It seems that I will have to sleep a few more times in the future. I didn't know anything about it when I was asleep. The Electra family has finally changed. As soon as the 2 Electra brothers returned to their old house, Sam Electra was beaten with a cane by his glaring grandfather. Where are you fooling around again? He smiled absent-mindedly and begged for mercy. Grandpa, I just played racing with a few friends for a while. Didn't I come back? Grandpa looked at him fixedly, but finally sighed. Get out. Okay, Sam Electra answered and went upstairs. He didn't notice Grandpa's complicated eyes. That means hating iron and not making steel, and it also means giving up. When he looked at the Adair Electra, who was as tall and reliable as an aspen next to him, his face softened, and he smiled with satisfaction. Adair Electra, come with me to the study. Okay, Grandpa. When she returned to her room, Sam Electra was a little restless and irritable. He refreshed the message, but the chat box at the top was silent. After clicking in, he typed a few words heavily, but deleted them all. He wasn't the one who caught up. What is he anxious about? It's not like nothing has been said anything more than this before. Anyway, it won't be more than a day. No matter how sad she is, won't she still stick it up, like an insecure puppy? No matter how many times it is abandoned by its owner, it will still come back rain or shine and wagging its tail at its owner and begging for mercy. It is not only endearing, but also gives him a secret sense of security in his heart. No matter how much you hurt her, she won't leave, will she? Sam Electra's heart finally settled. He calmly went downstairs and vaguely heard his grandfather's voice coming from the study. Yvette Burns and Sam Electra's doll pro. He paused in his footsteps, and then left as if nothing had happened. His mother also mentioned the engagement, and it is estimated that it is almost decided. Strangely, he was displeased. In the bottom of my heart, there is a hint of pleasure that secretly breeds like betrayal. Sam Electra unconsciously pursed her lips. As long as Yvette Burns is still so obedient and well behaved after marriage, then get engaged as she wishes. In the private room of the night clubhouse, I was talking to my college friend June Teresa about starting a cosmetics company. She has a double degree in biology and chemistry, and her grades are very good in school. Now I decided to start a business, and pulled a RD team to find investment. I saw the pearl with a big wave of my hand, and decided to buy shares. June Teresa was a little worried. Are you sure you want to invest so much money, and not be afraid of losing money? I took a sip of my wine, and glanced at her. Just because your products are on my makeup table, you should feel confident. She couldn't help but laugh. Didn't you study market management? Why don't you come and be a social animal together? I did not hesitate to refuse. I go to bed at 10:30 every day, which means that I have to take a shower at 9 o'clock. Apply a mask, apply face cream, apply eye cream, make a lip mask and hand mask, and finally have to apply body lotion. Wake up at 8 o'clock and dress up for 2 hours, and then go out to party for afternoon tea and shopping. I am more motivated, and I have to participate in some financial seminars to listen to the experience of the big guys, learn to speculate in futures and stocks, and often go to some parties to see what projects are worth investing in. How can I have time to work? June Teresa was dumbfounded. Is this the rich man? Then I don't understand. You have such a clear plan for yourself. Why do you fall on the scumbag? It's just that she has a good relationship with me, so she said such heart-wrenching words to me. I raised my eyebrows. Where do you think I got the money I invested in you? She looked puzzled, and I didn't explain too much. Just said, don't worry, it won't be any more. After all, Grandpa has decided to dismiss me, and Sam Electra's baby kiss. He knows how bad Sam Electra has been to me over the years. So, I was happy to see that Adair Electra and I were in love. This gives an account to both families. After learning the news from Adair Electra, I was so happy that I laughed out loud in the middle of the night. Regardless of the process, as long as the result is satisfactory, June Teresa was shocked and delighted, and immediately raised her glass to me. That's a great event. This cup wishes us a happy career and love in the future. I clinked glasses with her, making a crisp jingle sound. Cheers. When I was about to go home after chatting, I happened to receive a call from Sam Electra. I see you in the night. Come to 301 to find me. He expected that I would not refuse, so he just hung up. I just wanted to block him, but my mind turned around and I turned back. I'll have to tell him the good news. Otherwise, it will not look good if there is a misunderstanding and make jokes. I chuckled and calmly pushed open the door to 301. I saw the last time the racing beauty sat in Sam Electra's arms and cried red eyes. He coaxed her softly, wiping away her tears in great distress. When she saw me, she hugged Sam Electra's waist even tighter, as if asserting sovereignty. The box was very quiet, and when he looked around, several of his brothers had a bad face. Coincidentally, isn't this what I came into contact with? Sam Electra's tone was natural. Okay, even if I get engaged to her, it won't affect my relationship with you. The racing beauty sobbed quietly. Then you mean what you say? My eyes hurt when I saw it, and I didn't bother to act. Rolled his eyes. Stop. I want to ask who's engaged to whom. The girl glared at me. Yvette Burns. What are you pretending? I'm so happy. Right. Sam Electra can say that getting engaged to you is just a family request, and he doesn't like you at all. Sam Electra chuckled and turned to look at me. You've been chasing me for so many years, and it's okay to fulfill that doll family, as long as you promise me that after marriage, everyone will play their own games and not interfere with each other. How about it? He casually hugged the smug girl in his arms, and said in a flirtatious tone, anyway, the marriages of wealthy families are like this. Don't you care? The scene was suddenly noticed. All eyes fell on me, trying to find an embarrassed look on my face, but I was just stunned, and my face was tangled. I'm quite impressed by this condition, but your brother doesn't seem to agree. He stared at me, a ridiculous smile slowly tugging at the corners of his mouth. What's the matter with my brother? I feigned shock. Don't you know? Grandpa has cancelled this family-like doll kiss. Sam Electra froze and stared straight at me. The racing beauty was stunned, and then happy. Sam Electra, you don't have to marry her. Great. As soon as she finished speaking, she was pushed away and almost fell to the ground. She couldn't believe it, and said timidly, Sam Electra, get out. I must not be able to see this kind of scene, if I am so kind. So I hurriedly persuaded him. Sam Electra, why are you yelling at your girlfriend? She's not my girlfriend. Sam Electra's voice was irritating, and his voice was shaky as he listened. Yvette Burns, what do you mean? What does it have to do with my brother? I put on a shy look at the right time. I'm with your brother, and I'm here to tell you about this good thing today. I'm relieved to see that you and Grace have such a good relationship. The race car girl cried and shouted at me. My name is Kara. I shrugged. Oh, he has too many girlfriends. I can't remember it. Sam Electra looked at me with a wrinkled eyebrow and smiled. You don't have to make up this kind of lie. It's too clumsy. I covered my mouth in surprise. You don't believe me, but we grew up together, right? But for the sake of me being your cousin-in-law in the future, you can call your brother now, or you can ask Grandpa. It's not my nonsense, right? Sam Electra froze in place, his face fading little by little, especially after recognizing the certainty on my face. The curvature of the corners of my mouth gradually stretched into a sharp straight line. Sister-in-law. Are you so easy to empathize? Then what are you paying for me, for these 5 years? I looked puzzled. What kind of empathy? Don't be in love. You don't think I've ever liked you, do you? I'm just being nice to you, just to fulfill the baby's kiss. You're so interesting. I don't ask for anything in return. And you still shouted at me? I yawned softly against his angry, broken gaze. Bye-bye, everyone. I'm going back to sleep. Bang. Behind him there was a loud sound of a bottle shattering. I didn't even stop. I was a little surprised when I met Adair Electra outside the clubhouse. Why are you here? He took off his coat and draped it over me, and naturally took my hand. Isn't it supposed to pick up a girlfriend? This strange feeling made me feel something strange. As a result, before I could react, he was led into the car. I couldn't help but feel funny. Actually, I drove the car. I'll help you call a substitute driver. I glanced at him, and he explained without changing his face. The temperature in my car is 26 degrees Celsius, which is your favorite, so it's warmer. Speaking of which, my conversation opened. By the way, how did you know so much about my preferences? And you didn't know me well before. Adair Electra looked up at me quietly, and the temperature in his eyes seemed warmer than in the car. My throat twitched slightly, and the atmosphere was just right. It's a pity that my phone vibrates without eyes. I opened it unguardedly, and I saw Sam Electra's message. Do you think Adair Electra will still like you after knowing your background? Fake daughter. Break up with him. You are still my fiancé. My eyelids jumped, and he knew. When I got the report, I didn't have time to deal with it in time and put it in my bag. And Sam Electra often keeps dessert and milk in my bag. Come to think of it, my relationship with Sam Electra was reversed after the paternity test. In the past, he would help me contract all the duties, and wait for me to go to school and leave school every day. It has become a habit to help me carry my school bag. When others ridiculed him for being strict with his wife, he would also look at me cautiously. Once you're sure I'm not angry, raise your lips proudly. Talk more. I love to hear it. It's a pity that the ending has become what it is now, but it's also inevitable. When he learned about my background, he thought that I wanted to climb the high branches if I was pleasing him. I also noticed the change in his attitude with the naked eye. And finally I hated each other. I exhaled slowly, and I was unspeakably relieved in my heart. The guillotine finally fell, but I was no longer the girl I was at a loss when I learned the truth. Over the years, with my own efforts, I have built my own big house, with the bricks I have collected. The shattered self-esteem and pride I stuck back little by little. I've been able to shelter myself from the elements. I even smiled calmly and showed the chat page to Adair Electra. He's right, I'm a fake daughter. I don't know where my future fate will go. You can think about it again. His expression was not emotional, and his tone was light. Do you mind if I get him back? I was stunned as he pulled his phone out of my hand, and tapped it quickly with his slender fingertips. When I returned it to me, I saw a message from him. Idiot, it was a real daughter, who had a baby kiss with you at the beginning. What does it matter to me? I'm sorry. Adair Electra just likes me as a fake daughter tilde. What the hell is a squiggly line? He chuckled at the corners of his lips. I'm sorry. I've scolded him many times in my heart, and I knew about it for a long time, and he couldn't make up his mind. So he told me, and I asked him to keep it a secret. My eyebrows moved slightly. Why? First, it's your secret and family affair, and it's up to you to decide whether to say it or not. Second, even if you want to say it, it wasn't the right time, and it wasn't good for you. The corners of my lips curled. So is the time now. He stared at me, his obsidian pupils dwelling in a little starlight. Of course, you already have the right to choose, and your future destiny is in your hands. I quietly asked, then can I choose not to marry you? Adair Electra was silent for 2 seconds, lowered his eyes, and swallowed his voice. Yes, you and I don't have a baby. I laughed out loud. Actually, he was not right either. Even if I don't marry the Electra family, my parents will let me marry another family. The biological daughter of a wealthy family is still like this, let alone my adopted daughter. And I really can't get out of the Burns house. Kindness is greater than kindness, and they have not treated me badly, but have given me a rich life. If they hadn't taken care of me, I probably wouldn't be doing much right now. I do owe them a debt of it. Moreover, Adair Electra is far superior to its peers in all aspects. I earned it. I looked out the window and whispered, no, it's fine now. Through the reflection of the windows, the Adair Electra is visibly energized. The corners of his lips went up, but he pressed them down reservedly. Yvette Burns, you never seem to have asked me what I liked about you. I didn't bother to ask. Since I was a child, there have been more people who have handed me love letters. It's nothing more than that I'm beautiful, have a good figure, and have excellent self-discipline. The only drawback is probably that it was once too arrogant. But I followed him and asked, and what do you like about me? He glanced at me, a smile of pleasure tugging at the corners of his lips. The answer is in that journal. You didn't read it carefully. What do I think of the French language? When I got home, my parents were waiting for me on the sofa in the living room. Their brows were filled with joy and beckoned me to sit down. My dad said, Electra's family just called, and tomorrow we will talk about you and Sam Electra, presumably to get you engaged. I paused, but told them the truth. On the contrary, the marriage should be cancelled. The smile on my dad's face froze. What do you mean? My mom wrung her eyebrows at me. Yvette Burns, are you Sam Electra off again? I looked at them silently and sighed. Mom and Dad, paper can't contain fire. I already knew I wasn't your biological daughter. Their faces changed in unison, and they looked at each other, and they both saw shock in each other's eyes. I also know that my mother gave birth to a stillborn baby back then, and you are counting on this baby to bring benefits to the Burns family. So you adopted me to replace your own daughter. My mother's eyes turned red instantly, and she was nervous and overwhelmed when she thought about the past. Yvette Burns, but we really didn't treat you badly. We raised you as our own daughter. My dad was silent for a while, his tone serious. You told Grandpa? I shook my head and looked at him without fear. Why? You haven't treated me badly. I don't have to get along with our family. What's more, you have allowed me to live a good life for more than 20 years, and I will remember this kindness in my heart. Therefore, I am willing to marry. As soon as my dad breathed a sigh of relief, I said, but Sam Electra also knew about it, so he didn't want to see me, and didn't want to marry me. That breath came up again, and it didn't go up or down, and it made my dad's face red. Then Grandpa still knows. I took a slow sip of water. Even if Grandpa knows, he only knows that I am not biological, and he will not know the inside story of the year. You just need to polish it. For example, my father loves his wife like his life, and he is afraid that my mother will not be able to accept it. So he adopted me and planned to raise me as his own daughter for the rest of his life. Even if it is passed on, it is a virtue. They looked at each other, and there was joy in their eyes. After a long time, my dad sighed. It's a pity that the marriage with the Electra family can't be done. Judging by his expression, you can tell that he is thinking about the ideas of other families. So I said lightly, Sam Electra, and Adair Electra. My mom frowned. It's a great kid, but Grandpa will announce him as the next heir, and we're in this together. They immediately became happy, and they sent me money, and made me supper by myself. It's like going back to the time when I was holding the moon in the palm of my hand. It's a pity that I can't go back for a long time. I used to watch my parents coax my younger brother and his family to have fun, standing at the door in a daze. I don't know what to do with myself in the future. Now that I think about it, it's good to be a partner and be mutually beneficial. The next day our family went to visit Electra's house. My dad and grandpa chatted for a while in the study. When they came out, both of them were smiling and approaching with a pair of eyes. This is done. Adair. Electra's mother was obviously happy with me as well, and asked the maid to show me around Adair. Electra's room. I had no choice but to follow along. His room was as I expected, gray and white, clean and tidy. I saw the familiar notebook again, and my eyelids jumped. I finally know what Adair Electra meant by a meaningful smile just now. I opened the translation software, and scanned it without any expression. But he was stunned in the next second. To the arrogant and kind eldest lady, I like the way you are arrogant and domineering, to let others dye their hair back. And I also like the way you give dancing shoes to poor students with a disgusted body. And I like the way you don't have to pretend to be well behaved, and be yourself. Yvette Burns, I will always love your pride and wantus. I unconsciously bent my eyebrows. In the first year of high school, there was a boy in our class who dyed his hair red, and being seen by the student union would affect the class rating, which would have no effect on the rich children, but would make the poor students lose the opportunity to get scholarships. I saw a classmate in the class sobbing quietly, so I found the boy and gave him a sum of money to dye back. Unconvinced, he asked, "Why?" I scoffed, "Because you're ugly to my eyes." He got it back, and that day I found a piece of chocolate and a sticky note with, "Thank you," written on it in my desk. There are also dancing shoes because the girl has studied ballet for a long time, but there was a sudden change in her family, and she decided to give up her dream of dancing. I gave her a pair of dancing shoes, and then funded a sum of money. Oh, she's now the youngest principal of the company, and we're still in close contact. It turned out that Adair Electra had been watching me silently for so long, laughing and laughing. Tears fell. Some people like the way I bow my head and obey. Someone wants to see me fall from the sky, and humble myself to the dust. Only he appreciates my true appearance. How can people not be moved? Yvette Burns. Sam Electra's voice came from the doorway. I closed my notebook and wiped the water from the corners of my eyes with my palms upward. Turning around, I saw Sam Electra walk in and close the door. The black hair was scattered in front of his forehead, and there was no longer the rebelliousness of the past, and the bottom of his eyes was in the shadow. His jaw tightened, and he approached me step by step. You stayed with him, because he became the heir to the Electra family. I leisurely admired his embarrassed look. Yes, and what? No what? His eyes lit up for a moment, and his tone was hurried. If I get this position back, can you Hey, then why didn't you become an heir before? Didn't you want to? I circled around him, like a monkey watching a zoo. You don't look in the mirror. In terms of ability and character, what point are you like your brother? After being the prince for so many years, I can't see how many pounds and tails I have. Right, even if the Electra family is handed over to you, it will be bankrupt. Please don't harm your own family. Isn't it good to continue to spend time drinking with your grace? He looked at me quietly, his eyes reddening. My meanness at the moment reminded him of what he was like back then. I'll scold him when he's skipping school. It's just that back then, it was deep love and responsibility, but now it is extremely humiliating from the perspective of the enemy. It's really a matter of people, and everything is closed. There was a click and the door was pushed open. Adair Electra's eyebrows were grim when he saw him. What are you doing here? Sam Electra's face tense. She walked up to him, and grabbed him by the collar. Very good, Adair Electra. I trust you so much. You covet Yvette Burns. Don't you know that I've liked her since I was a child? Adair Electra chuckled, but punched him in the face. The way you like people is to humiliate and trample on her. Then I've got a lot of knowledge. Sam Electra snorted and was knocked to the ground. The corners of his mouth cracked and blood spilled. He wiped it away nonchalantly, staring at Adair Electra viciously. Adair Electra looked at him with a smirk. Love is not a weighing of pros and cons, nor is it a temptation to doubt. To love someone is to involuntarily feel distressed, and approached in every possible way. In the 3 years I've been abroad, you've played a good hand of cards to a shriek. It's really stupid. Sam Electra tugged at the corners of his lips, and muttered like a lost soul. Yes, I'm stupid. I looked at Adair Electra in a daze. the tip of my nose slightly pantothenic. He turned his head, his eyes visibly glinting with warmth. Are they discussing our engagement? Come downstairs with me. I didn't hesitate anymore and reached out to hold him. My fingers interlocked. Well, let's go. It's been a month since I heard from Sam Electra again. He didn't come to the engagement banquet that day. In the evening, I was called from an unknown number. I'm knocking Adair Electra down and getting ready to do something. The tails of his eyes are red. His shirt is open and 2 buttons are open. And his slightly undulating firm chest muscles are really sexy. But that call kept coming. I picked up irritably. What do you want to do? There was a cry in his tone. Yvette Burns. Come to the hospital and see Sam Electra. He's been drinking so hard since he heard you're going to get engaged. And he's still in a coma. I paused. Oh, it's Renata. She was silent for 2 seconds, then cried out like a breakdown. I'm Kara, I said impatiently. It doesn't matter. Aren't you Sam Electra's girlfriend? What are you looking for me? I don't know if I'm engaged today. I don't have any eyesight. It's really not good. I'll transfer you some money. You can buy me a fruit basket. Okay, don't talk about it. I'm going to do something. I threw my phone away and pounced again. A man snorted and looked away. Aren't you going to see him in the hospital? I curled the corners of my mouth. And it was only after we were together that I realized that this Adair Electra was very strong. The former marrying reservist sent me a message of blessing. Was accidentally seen by him? And his face didn't show it. But he tossed people in different tricks at night. When you fish people halfway up the mountain, you bite your ears and ask for a satisfactory answer before you are willing to continue. It's my turn to be a demon tonight. I stood up and smoothed my wrinkled skirt slowly. You're right. After all, there is still a friendship when I was a child. I really should go and see it. As he turned to leave, the world spun around, and his body suddenly collapsed on the soft big bed, attacking and defending. Adair Electra's face tensed, firmly imprisoning my wrists. Vigorous and powerful green tendons erupted on his arms, and he was full of abstinence. I laughed playfully. He kissed me the lips and conquered the city. Don't go to him. In between breathing, I whispered in his ear. When I pretended to be cold, and didn't like to take care of me, I was almost jealous to death. Right, Adair Electra. He didn't speak, and spent the night telling me that he was really jealous. The end.